Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Well, now.
Asked for a high price, and he says, "That's fine," and started counting out the coin there and then.
Just like that. What I heard about him, he's a right skinflint. And what did Betty have to say?
She was well pleased, as you can imagine. Even more when I told her Tonda will take everything she makes.
That's great. A bit of extra coin never hurts.
He sits there drinking.
Where the hell were you brought up? Only bandits creep around in the dark without...
wouldn't beg good neighbors.
Only bandits creep around in the dark without a light.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I'm expecting
Yeah. Damn!
Stay away from
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus, not as shallow as it looks.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
How come you...
What's happening?
Them two rogues, Matthew and Fritz, have finally cleared off. No loss, I can tell you. Shy of work, the pair of them. But when there's mischief to be made, they jump at the chance. I hear they've made themselves at home in the tavern in the glade. Well, their custom I can do without. Andrew's welcome to them.
Can I sleep?
All right? For how long?
Just the one.
All right.
Here you go.
You'll like. Good luck to you.
Yeah. 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 He must be here somewhere. Raise the alarm! Watch out! Alarm! Hey, all of you! Gather here! Raise the alarm!
Shot must have come from here. Where is that bastard? Shit! Leave me be! Alarm! Raise the alarm! Watch out!
Hey!
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
How are you, Henry?
How's it going? Good money, eh?
What? What money?
Oh, look, yeah, go and talk to Matthew first.
Well, all right.
Jesus Christ.
How's...
Nothing we can.
Is there somewhere I can...
All right. For how long?
Just the...
All right.
Hey.
You'll like it.
Look out. Here's your share.
My share of what? What the hell are you on about?
Well, that thing with Thomas, somehow his ring ended up with us.
Thomas? Who's he?
That bastard of a foreman at the mill in Adechko, where you got us the job.
Are you out of your tiny mind? If anyone finds out you robbed him, we'll all be fucked.
Take it easy. It wasn't theft exactly. We all know he stole that ring himself. So if it comes out, he'll be in the shit too. He'll keep his mouth shut.
Where'd you find someone willing to buy and not ask too many questions?
It wasn't easy, but then Fritz thought of Andrew.
Andrew?
The innkeeper here. They say all sorts of things about him.
And how did it go with him?
Well, first he didn't seem too keen. But when he saw the ring, he bought it off us. Actually, I'm not surprised. After all, we'll spend all the money on booze here anyway.
I wish you good luck. I'll be off.
Now that you meant...
Out with it then. What have you thought up now?
I can't help myself. It's force of habit. We tried to be good at Sasau.
So good that you punched a novice in the mouth.
Exactly. We broke our backs working in the mill.
And they drove you out.
And they drove us out. The only worthwhile thing we did recently was give that wastrel a thrashing, take his ring, and sell it to Andrew.
I'm not sure I like where you're going with this.
And where's that? No one in the country gives a damn about the law. And if we knock some thief over the head in the woods, or ambush some wagon with supplies for Sigismund's soldiers, I won't lose any sleep over it.
Those swine deserve even worse. But that's what Sahanish is here for, isn't he? What can we do?
Wake up, for Christ's sake. It's war. They skewered your parents, didn't they? They fucking burned down our fucking village, didn't they? Don't you give a damn about that?
Of course I fucking do.
And now there's a herd of swine ransacking Skalitz. Those fuckers are trampling over the ashes of Jeremiah, and Desmond, and Siegfried, and Tristan.
Let's chop those bastards to pieces, one after the other.
I can't let it go, Hal. Even if I have to do it on my own, I'll put the fear of God into those bastards.
We'll strike fear into the fuckers.
I knew we could rely on you, Hal. I knew it.
So, what's the plan?
Well, I thought Andrew the innkeeper here could help us, but he's nervous. Best ask Fritz. He sorted out selling the ring, and he knows Andrew better.
All right, I'll do that.
Coming.
Jesus!
I was wondering.
No, you got...
Well, all right then.
God be with you.
Hey, how'd you get so fucked up?
I hear you've got a plan to fleece the local villains.
Be nice, wouldn't it? Otherwise we soon won't have a pot to piss in.
And the innkeeper here could lend a helping hand.
Exactly.
So what's the problem?
He reckons we're not up to it. Oh, and tell him I sent you, so he doesn't send you packing.
Do you know how I might set about convincing Andrew?
Mention money.
That's all.
Aye. Our friend the innkeeper's as greedy as they come. Goodbye.
Fritz sent me. I'd like to talk about...
Ah, you'd like some wine from my cellar? I have it right here, in the back.
No, I wanted to steal...
Yes, yes, of course it's good. I have it right here in the back.
Yes, yes, of course. Lead the way.
So, Fritz sent you, did he?
Aye, this was his idea.
Look, lad, I'm fond of Fritz. I knew his old man, but Matthew, he's insane. Robbing people.
Only those that deserve it.
And you think his lordship won't mind? Have you any idea the kind of shit you can get into? I don't believe you're up to it.
Why don't you believe us? There's plenty of coin in it, and almost no risk for you.
So, there'd be a share in it for me, eh?
A handsome one.
We'll see if you're up to it. You'll need a disguise.
What disguise?
Use your head. You can never be sure no one will see you.
Yeah, that's true. We'll have to put on some other clothes, or...
Dress up as humans.
What?
It's obvious, isn't it? Everyone knows they're looting. If someone's robbed by humans, no one will investigate.
That's true. But I'll have to get some human clothes.
A captain's, and 3 sets of them. What? On account of the helmets. No one will recognize you with them on.
And where the hell am I supposed to get it?
There's gangs of humans around Skeletons. I've got a good idea where to find them from. Passers-by.
I'm supposed to attack a human camp.
A minute ago, you were full of yourself. And now, all of a sudden, you've lost your nerve.
But the whole fucking camp.
Scouts are deserters. Most likely the ones who are trying to skive off or take easy pickings. And even humans have to sleep.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Biztos sikerült megpattannia. Beszarás! És pont amikor kedvem lenne valakiből kiverni a lelket. Mi folyik ott? Mi az ott? Mi volt ez a... Á, itt épp egy malacka tévedt a disznóölésre. Végeztél? Na, bazd meg! Geci! Ha!
Mit csináltad? Mi folyik?
Vigyázz! Látom az ellenséget!
Tévedt a disznóölésre.
Vigyázz! Itt! Itt az ellenség!
A gányba!
Látom őt! Atni!
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Welcome, Henry.
Look out!
I'll be with you, Henry.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
who's there?
Dan. God save you. Good luck to you.
Can we do something?
What?
Satisfy?
More.
Since it's...
Well now.
I'll go for that.
What else do you need? Come on up and see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Duh!
Yeah. 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 I better not go in any further. I might drown. Yeah.
Hey, young fella. You can't sleep here. Go and find a bed of your own. Huh?
Yeah.
Ow! Watch where you're going, you lout.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How come you're wearing such fine... Take care.
Greetings, good. See you later.
Any chance of a bite?
I'm glad to see.
Well, Master Painter.
Yes, unfortunately. And my offer still.
Why not? So
God be with you.
I'd like to just.
You won't. Aye.
Here, enjoy it. God's blessings.
Have you
Sir, for
just? Here you...
goodbye.
What's the holdup? Hey, hey, here. One beer.
Please, sir.
What's happened to you?
I've walked all the way from Kuttenberg, but as you can, so I can.
Wait.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I seldom meet such a good Samaritan. God shall repay you.
Anytime.
that noise?
Hey, you.
Shizamde, I'm on the beat!
Next is even side of object from the
Shizamde, I'm on the beat!
Welcome back to another Debunking Iraqi Forgot Extras, where I go over more JoJo fan questions that I haven't already covered. It's been a little while and videos have been slower recently, so I felt like going back once again to the debunking series since it's still one of the most fun kinds of videos to make. First, we have a question about Phantom Blood. This person asks how Dio was able to develop his body freezing technique to counter Hamon when he didn't know about Hamon until the scene where he first uses it. This is actually related to a scene that was removed by the anime. In the manga, there's an additional scene after Jonathan starts training under Zeppeli. Wang Chan appears at night to attack Jonathan and he is injured by a zoom punch. Immediately after this, we get a scene with Dio and Jack the Ripper at Midnight's Lot, where Wang Chan shows up with a partially melted face. This is when Dio first learns about Hamon, giving him time to develop a technique to counter it. While the anime has a version of the scene in the castle here, the Wang Chan part is cut out entirely, so Dio just seems to decide to freeze his arm on the fly. Funnily enough, this whole series of events was actually partially adapted in the Phantom Blood musical. Here though, while there is a scene of Wang Chan being hit with a zoom punch, we don't actually see him go tell Dio. Instead, later when Jack the Ripper is hit with the Sendo wave kick by Zeppeli, he flees to Midnight's Lot to find Dio. Jonathan and the gang show up right after and fight the zombies, but during this we can see Jack and Dio talking in the background. So in this version, that's seemingly where Dio learns about Hamon for the arm freezing scene right after Jack's defeat. Next is a question about Hamon. This comment says that non-living things need to have contact maintained with them for Hamon to be channeled through them, but that the rose, which was cut and no longer alive, was still able to have Hamon in it. There's a couple things wrong here. First of all, the rule is not that non-living things cannot hold Hamon, it's that non-organic things can't hold Hamon. We wouldn't exactly call stuff like oil or Caesar's bubbles alive, but they can hold Hamon without contact since they are made of organic material, unlike something like the plucked sword or the metal chandelier, which require contact to be maintained. But another problem is that a rose doesn't actually die when it's cut. Flowers that are cut are still alive and stay that way for quite a while, although regardless, a dead flower would still conduct Hamon just the same by being organic. Another question relates to Joseph's fight with Donovan in part 2. They ask how Joseph was able to conduct Haman into the cactus when he isn't touching it and is lying on the ground next to it. However, this is not actually when Joseph touched the cactus. Earlier, we see him try to punch Donovan through his cape, but he punches the cactus instead and gets needles in his hand. This is when he touched the cactus and sent Haman into it, causing it to explode later. Next are some comments about Cars being trapped in space and Dio's time in the coffin. First, for Cars, people point out that on the page describing Ultimate Cars' abilities, it says he can go 100 years without food. If this is the case, how did Cars drift in space for eternity when really he should have starved to death? However, this is a misunderstanding. It isn't saying that Cars will starve no matter what. This is referring to Cars when he's actually operating as a living being. But when Cars was in space, he wasn't expending energy, he was in a dormant state. As we know, pillar men can go much longer than 100 years without food, with their hibernation lasting for thousands of years, and that's as normal pillar men before becoming the ultimate being. Now for Dio, we have a similar question. People ask how he lasted 100 years without blood. Again, I'd apply the same answer. Dio wasn't doing anything in the coffin, he was lying completely still and not using up energy, so while he would eventually get weaker, he would still be alive as long as his brain wasn't destroyed and could recover as soon as he got more blood. This next one deals with the Undul fight in part 3. They mention the scene where Geb slices the front tires of the group's dune buggy, but that soon after this the wheels reappear with no explanation. Now there's two interpretations of this question, and I'm not sure which one is being asked here. First is that they might be confused as to how the dune buggy is shown driving up to Jotaro at the end despite the wheels just being cut. However, if you look closely, even here it is still missing the front wheels. The buggy is actually driving backwards using the back wheels and dragging the front along with it, so clearly there's no issue there. The other interpretation is that they're saying that the wheels suddenly reappeared in the next chapter with the start of the Oingo Boingo arc. In this case, this falls into a common thread I see a lot with Iraqi Forgot topics, which is treating a larger span of time as if it's instantaneous. Yes, the wheels are back in this arc, but that's after some time had passed, giving them time to fix it. They didn't just instantly reappear. There was clearly a change in time and place that can make the repairing of the wheels believable. Next is one about the final battle between Jotaro and Dio. This is actually a question I've seen quite a lot, but I just never got around to answering it. People ask how it was possible for Dio to be killed by a punch to the leg by Jotaro, when as a vampire he should only be vulnerable to Haman. Well, I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding here since this punch isn't actually what killed Dio. If you recall, they later placed Dio's body into the sunlight which destroyed it. Dio wasn't really dead at this point and wouldn't truly die until he was completely destroyed. Part of why we know this is actually if you compare the time of his death with the mutation of the flesh bud of Okuyasu's father. That was said to have happened around 2 PM in Japan. People have actually brought this up before, saying it conflicts with the time Kakyoin gave for Japan, which was at night. However, the reason for that is because Dio didn't die until sunrise, which actually lines up with 2 PM in Japan. So Dio wasn't killed by the punch, but was just
quiet!
Quiet! Quiet!
Incapacitated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most megkapod! Bűzlük a...
Te!
Ez betalált! Itt vagyok! A szarba!
Now you're fucked! Way off!
You'll get what for. Well ended. Got weak at the knees, have you?
What's the... Dubsy-dee-dee! Christ! Oh!
Dear God!
What was that noise? Oh.
Here! What have we got here? Entertainment. Great. Insolent whelp! Jesus Christ! No! Damn! Damn! Is that the best you can do? No! Christ!
However, some still ask how it's possible for a stand to do this with just a punch to the leg. But it actually makes more sense if we take another look at the fight. First, Jotaro crushes Dio's leg, then he punches the world in the leg. We can see that this clash is so strong that Star Platinum's fist begins to break. However, because Dio's leg was weakened, his stand's leg was weakened as well. So the cracks on his stand spread over. It was just incapacitated. However, some still ask how it's possible for a stand to do this with just a punch to the leg. But it actually makes more sense if we take another look at the fight. First, Jotaro crushes Dio's leg, then he punches the world in the leg. We can see that this clash is so strong that Star Platinum's fist begins to break. However, because Dio's leg was weakened, his stand's leg was weakened as well. So the cracks on his stand spread over the entire body, including his head. The sheer force of the blow caused Dio to basically explode. Now, one of the stated weaknesses of a vampire other than sunlight is also the destruction of their brain. Dio's brain is pretty resilient since it was able to withstand getting cut in half and stabbed through by Polnareff, but a serious blow to the head could still really mess Dio up. He himself said that if Polnareff had a bit more time, he could have destroyed his brain with Silver Chariot, and the punch to the head he took earlier from Star Platinum was strong enough to make him lose control of his body. So really this final blow emphasizes just how strong Star Platinum is, that even with his strengthened body, he was still hit hard enough to not be able to recover in time before he was finished off by the sun. Now for a part 4 question. This person asks why Koichi didn't just use echoes to put the word help on himself to get Josuke's attention during the Rohan fight. I think what this question is missing is how exactly Koichi was being trapped by Rohan in the first place. As we see here, Koichi wants to ask Josuke for help, but whenever he tries, he just acts like everything is fine. This is because Rohan had written in Koichi that he could not attack Rohan. This doesn't simply mean attacking him physically, he also can't intentionally act in a way that leads Rohan to harm. So here he can't tell them what's wrong, and later he is unable to talk about Rohan's ability, so doing something with his stand to call for help would similarly be limited by Rohan's command. Next is another one I've actually seen a lot over the years. Some people ask why Jotaro seems surprised that a rat could have a stand when obviously he already knew about Iggy and Forever in part 3. Now this is a really common question and I could probably put together a couple dozen times it's been asked, but every time I hear it I just can't shake the one obvious answer, which is that Jotaro never actually expresses surprise about a rat being a stand user. I've even got a comment saying that Jotaro said that the rat proved animals could be stand users. I cannot stress enough that he's never said anything like this. The only line I could possibly see being construed as this is when he says, even though it's a rat, it must have developed a stand. But that
Be quick. Watch it.
that doesn't actually show him being surprised in any way. If he's surprised at all, it would be that a rat in particular got a stand, rather than a much more intelligent creature like a dog. In fact, in this line, he affirms that a rat must have developed a stand, despite having no concrete proof of that yet. The reason he has to clarify here that it got a stand even though it's a rat is because he's talking to Josuke, a person who doesn't know about animal stand users and who is surprised at their existence. Now, I was at a loss on this until I decided to check out the English dub for the anime. Here, after describing the rat surviving the arrow, he says, "You know what that means. Humans aren't the only organisms with the potential to acquire stand abilities." After hearing this, I believe this is where people got this idea from. From the clunky way it's written, it could be interpreted that Jotaro is coming to the conclusion that animals are stand users for the first time. Of course, since the English dub often differs from the original dialogue, we can't take what it says as canon in any way. And in the original Japanese, no such confusion about Jotaro and animal stand users exists. Just as a rule of thumb for dub watchers, I recommend that you check the Japanese version or the manga to make sure the question you have isn't due to something the dub changed. Next is one talking about the scene following Kira's introduction. They ask why when Kira walked past Josuke, he didn't just bump into him and turn Josuke into a bomb and kill him later. I find this odd since Kira actually has very little reason to go after Josuke here. He killed Shigechi because he learned his secret, but he avoided being seen by Josuke, so he simply didn't find it necessary to kill Josuke unprovoked. Now, Kira did learn from Shigechi that they were investigating the death of Reimi. However, as he says, once Shigechi is erased, there's no proof leading back to him. He didn't know that the button would end up acting as a clue to find him, or even that they had found it. Another important detail here is that while Kira doesn't directly get confirmation of this, he suspects that Josuke and Okuyasu are stand users. That's a pretty big reason not to try and initiate an attack here, since he doesn't have any idea what Josuke is capable of. And maybe most importantly, Kira's main motivation that drives his character is to live a quiet life. While he does have a powerful stand and could get away with killing a lot more people, he prefers to kill at his leisure. So I just don't think he has a real reason to kill Josuke here, which honestly might attract more suspicion than just leaving him alone. This next one isn't quite an Araki forgot, but more of a misunderstanding that I wanted to point out. I got a comment recently asking whether Superfly's user Toyohiro first developed his stand after living in the tower, or if he took it over from a previous user. I pointed out that it is actually his stand, which developed after he moved into the tower, trapping him. The reason this person was confused was because the JoJo Wiki says that there was a previous unknown user. This information, though, is actually incorrect, in part because it comes from the JoJo Wiki at fandom.com. This used to be the only JoJo Wiki, but in 2019, the main staff left since they were dissatisfied with fandom's policies and the obtrusive ads. So they made JoJoWiki.com, a far superior and better maintained wiki. The fandom one has rightfully fallen into disrepair and should be ignored at this point. Just as an example, many of its pages are incomplete, like anything related to Part 9 or the Rohan TV drama, and it doesn't even have a page acknowledging recent JoJo properties like the Phantom Blood musical. This Superfly error also doesn't exist on the Better Wiki. Whenever new pages do get added to the fandom wiki, they're also usually heavily plagiarized from the real JoJo Wiki, so just stick to the more up-to-date wiki if you want more accurate information on the series. Now we have a question related to Bites the Dust. The comment here is correcting me by saying that Bites the Dust doesn't actually rewind time by an hour like I say in the video, but that it actually rewinds time to the point that the bomb was planted. This is simply untrue. Near the end of the fight, Hayato directly says that the ability rewinds time by 1 hour, and if we go take a look at the JoJo Veller stand book, it says the same. However, this fact is actually demonstrated in the manga itself as well. For example, Rohan dies at 8:30 AM, and when Hayato is sent back to morning, it's 7:30. However, in the next loop when Rohan dies automatically, time keeps going for a bit. The others die at 8:36, and when time rewinds, we can see that it's actually 7:36. We can also see a clear difference between these times. At 7:30, Hayato is in his pajamas and in bed, and later his mom comes in when he's dressed. When Hayato comes back at 7:36, he's already dressed, and Shinobu comes in right away since it's farther in the future. Not only that, but later we are shown a timeline with all of these points laid out. Now, as for the idea of time rewinding to when the bomb was planted, this was never suggested anywhere in the manga. This also wouldn't really make sense since the bomb was actually planted on Hayato the night before alongside Kira awakening the ability, not in the morning. This next one is related to the Thus Spoke Kushibe Rohan story Mutsukabe Hill. For the uninitiated, this story involves a woman named Osato Naoko who accidentally kills her boyfriend Gunpei, after which his body starts endlessly leaking blood. Naoko has to constantly manage the body for years to dispose of the blood while keeping the body secret. We learn that Gunpei is actually a species of yokai whose death is the start of a new phase of life where they're cared for by the person who killed them. The final revelation is that Naoko actually sired children with the corpse, who are just like their father. This commenter asks how Rohan was able to immediately figure out that he had met Naoko's daughter when she died in front of him, and even knew that she was created by Naoko having children with Gunpei's corpse. There's a few things to consider here. First of all, Rohan knows all about Gunpei already, since he was investigating rumors of a being like him in the area, where he ran into Naoko and read the entire story from her with Heaven's Door. Second, Rohan was right outside Naoko's house at the time, and the daughter said that people like him have been snooping around lately, implying that she lives there. Finally, when she died, her body started to undergo the same transformation as Gunpei, letting Rohan know that she was one too and must be his daughter. For another Rohan chapter, I've actually seen a lot of confusion surrounding the very first chapter of the spin-off, At a Confessional. I've seen some of this outside of my comment section as well. The different questions about this story actually conflict with each other, so I think I need to look at them one at a time. A lot of people ask why the servant was the one to be cursed at the end. This seems to be a fundamental misunderstanding a lot of people have with the chapter, which is surprising since this is directly related to the story's main twist. To recap, the main character, who I'll call the Confessor, is the one speaking to Rohan in the confessional booth. He was a selfish man who forced a beggar to work for food, leading to his death. The ghost of the beggar cursed him and said he would return at the peak of his happiness. Soon after, the man had incredible good luck and became extremely rich, and had a daughter. From the story's perspective, we see him out with his
Good health, you.
daughter.
I have some trophy.
Show me. Good work. That's...
I've been sent by Captain Bernard. He says you have Cuman marauders here.
Ah, so it was you Bernard was speaking of. Well, the Cumans are marauding, that's for sure. Sir Divish did declare a decent reward for taking the bastards down, but we've not had cause to pay out to anyone so far.
Is that because the locals are too frightened?
No, they're more than willing to try. It's just they don't seem to make it back again. But don't let me put you off. We do know of one camp, along the road to Neuhof, hidden between the cliffs. I'll pay you your reward if you can bring me proof you've killed the camp leader. They wear
all right. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Mi a szar volt az? Lehet, hogy csak a fülem cseng. Ki a... Mit keresel itt? Véletlenül kibújtál anyád szoknyája alól? Emberek, vigyázat! Látom őt! Ott ki! Istenem, vigyázz! Ott! Innen kellett küldje. Na csak, na csak! Faszás! A picsába hagy már!
do with a bite to eat.
Mi a szar? Rossz helyen vagy, rossz időben.
Pater noster, qui es in celis, sanctific...
Hey!
Kibaszott fattyú! Feladom! Elege...
Jól van!
Ničak. A picsába! Mi van? Csak nem fáj! Az Istenét! Kinyírlak! again. Again.
Beszarás, és pont amikor kedvem lenne valakiből kiverni a lelket. Jól van. A tábor élet. Az meg.
Mi volt ez a hang?
Beszarás!
Istenem, vigyázzol! Valakiből kiverni a lelket. Ott mi! Látjátok? Ott az a gegyláda!
Pina!
Hey! Mi csak? Mi bújt itt elő?
A gányba!
Jól van.
Yeah.
Good health, you.
I have some trophies.
Show me. Good work.
I've taken care of that camp.
Have you brought me proof?
Here it is.
Well, that is a fine bit of news. I've received another report. Some folk were ambushed by the Talberg Creek on the way towards Ujits. I reckon it'd be worth a look there.
I understand.
God's blessing.
I'd like
So,
a physician.
as you...
Fine.
I'm sure God be with you. So,
I've,
that can...
Fine.
I'm good luck.
I'd like...
Uh-huh.
No deal. I'd like that.
But of course.
Fine.
I'm sure God be with you.
I'm in.
Uh-huh.
Oh. 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 I'd like that.
That can be arranged.
That's too.
As you will. God be with you. Oh, God almighty! Can't you see this people here? That horse of yours nearly trampled me to death.
Hey.
God grant. I suppose I could. For how long?
Just.
No problem.
Here you.
You've got to.
Can I sleep?
But you've already paid for.
Yes.
All right.
That's a lot.
Suit yours.
Where do I go?
In the lot.
Yeah.
One over here, please.
Hey.
How's it go?
Master Huntsman.
As always, you're that scout.
That'll be me.
Right. I saw you here shortly after the attack. My word, to get away from Talmberg like...
I'm listening.
We've been having terrible problems with poachers lately. In Sir Divish's forests.
And you want me...
Indeed.
Do you suspect...
Well, it's hard to say, but seeing how much harm...
Shouldn't you be...
I should. You're quite right.
But do you think the locals are...
Well, I don't know. Maybe. But even if not, they'll never talk to me. They're scared...
I understand.
Oh, certainly. And it wouldn't hurt to ask in the inn in the glade, the one on the road towards Neuhof. I've heard they serve good venison, and no shortage of it.
That's clear enough. As soon as I hear anything, I'll let you know.
Thanks for your help, lad. Good luck, then.
I hope I can be of some...
I'd like to find out...
I don't know anything about that. But if it's gossip you're after, go and speak to Brada the tanner. He always spins a good yarn. You'll find him at the end of the village, the last house on the way to the quarry. Good luck then.
God grant you health. How may I help you?
Have you got any work that needs...
Not much, unless you're not averse to it.
How do you mean?
As you can see, I tan hides. I can only buy them from the master huntsman, and he never gives me enough. I'd hunt them down myself, only he keeps a close watch on me. But you now...
Well, I don't think the master huntsman would be any happier.
He wouldn't, if he... Look here, I'll pay a good price for whatever you bring me. In which case, I would pay you extra.
I heard you have poacher trouble.
Certainly do. They're running wild around here. And they kill a lot more than they take. Many a time I've seen a carcass just thrown in a ditch.
Why would someone just toss their catch in the woods? It doesn't make sense.
Well, the wagging tongues say they're just doing it to spite the huntsman.
Do you have any idea who the poachers could be?
If I knew, the bastards would be strung up by now.
Don't tell me you've heard nothing at all.
Well, I did hear that Thomas, that fellow who works at the bathhouse, was mouthing off recently, saying he'd go and bag himself some game and lay on a right feast for the village girls.
I see. Has anyone seen those poachers with their own eyes?
No, just the dead game they leave behind. But blacksmith Betty saw some goings-on in the woods.
Goings-on? What's that supposed to mean?
Well, that's what she said, and I ain't one to pry.
Why would anyone want to take revenge on the huntsman?
He's not the best-liked man in the village. We all know that. And then there are those who say Hannikin Hare is back.
Who's Hannikin Hare?
You're not from around here, are you? The Hare's quite the Talmberg legend. He used to be master huntsman here once, but then he ran off.
Why did he run?
It just so happens I know the answer to that. Some big important nobleman came to Talmberg around then, and they made a grand occasion of it. And in the midst of it all, Hare had a falling out with some man-at-arms and knocked him in the moat. The poor bugger broke his neck. They picked the Hare up, but before they could take him before the court, he vanished.
Why take revenge on Master Huntsman Nicholas?
Because of Nicholas's wife, Margaret. Hare had his eye on her back then, but she didn't care for him and he was fuming.
Where did he run?
No one really knows. They say he's hiding in secret tunnels beneath the castle, but that's all.
I want to ask... Thanks.
God be with you.
God grant you health. How may I help you?
I've got a few questions about these poachers.
So ask.
I heard you saw something fishy in the forest.
That's right, I did.
Can you describe what you saw?
It was after dark, I remember that. I went up past the castle along by the clearing, and I saw someone had lit a fire, and there were figures singing and dancing, and I could hear the whistling of a pipe. And I could smell roast meat. It was like a feast of some sort. Only I thought maybe it was some witch's Sabbath, so I was afraid to stay too long in case they saw me.
Did you recognize anyone there? Someone from the village, maybe?
No. Like I said, it was dark. All I could see was shadowy figures moving around.
Did you hear any familiar voices?
No. But I heard girls...
Where is the clearing?
A short walk north of the castle. There's a trap...
Thanks. What do you make of this?
It's clear as day. Hannikin Hare's back. And putting those antlers on Nicholas's house? Well, we all know what that means, don't we? It's the sign of a cuckold, you mark my words.
You mean to say his wife's cheating on him?
All I'm saying is she might be feeling the urge.
Well, you're the first who's certain of her.
Well, now, I wouldn't say I'm complete.
You were singing a different song not long ago.
So?
It's nothing to you, but...
Oh.
Well, now you know. And
All right, I'll tell you.
I'll do what I can.
It's to do with Margaret, his wife. They say it's all because of her.
Keep going.
I know full well Hare's here, because Margaret admitted as much.
What did she tell you?
That he waited in the woods till she came by and they exchanged some words. Words was all she told me. Who knows what they actually got up to?
And what did they speak about?
I don't know. But if Nicholas knew they'd met, he'd most likely kill her.
You're sure she wasn't saying it in jest?
Oh, no. Margaret wouldn't joke about something like that.
Well, you're the first who's certain of...
Well, now...
Stop trying to... But you know...
Of course.
I'm his right-hand man.
All right.
I'll do what...
It's...
Keep going.
I know
What...
that he...
And what...
I don't...
You're sure she...
Oh, no.
Who's this Hannikin Hare, anyway?
Hannikin Hare? There was a time he was master huntsman here, and Margaret was set to be his wife. But then he got himself accused of murder, and...
So what's the story between Hare and Margaret?
It was complicated. He wanted her, and she wanted him too, I reckon. At least for a while. But then she hitched up with Nicholas, and now she says she never had a thought of wedding Hannikin Hare.
So what went on?
Those two? There was no love lost between them from the moment Hare arrived. And then Margaret got involved.
Do you think Hare really killed that man?
Who knows the truth of it now? I did find it all a bit odd, and Margaret never wanted to speak.
That's...
God be with you.
What's that?
Good day to you. What do you need?
I'd like to find out about the poachers round here who've been stealing game recently.
If you ask me, there's some questions best left unanswered. But go and see Elena if you're determined. That old gossip will tell you all there is to know.
I'd like to ask you about Hannikin Hare.
I'm sorry, but I really don't want to talk about that.
Listen, I know the Hare is here, and I know you spoke with him. And if you don't want your husband to find out, you better start talking.
Wait! You can't say something like that to Nicholas. God knows what he'd do.
It's in your hands whether I tell him or not.
All right, all right. What do you want to know?
How were things between you and Hare back then?
There was nothing between us. Hannikin Hare impressed my father with all his talk of noble blood. But I couldn't stand him, and I didn't want to marry him. And
So you didn't want him?
that's village talk.
Did Hare really commit?
God in heaven, how should I know?
That remains to be... What did you talk about?
I see Betty's...
Don't blame her.
Oh, all right. Well, it seems Hannikin Hare's exile has addled his brain. He told me...
And what about you?
What do you mean? I was so shocked, I couldn't even scream.
Is that all he told you?
He said if I changed my mind, I'm to hang a garland of forget-me-nots on.
Where was it you saw him exactly?
I wish I could tell you. The whole thing was like a fever dream. I almost got lost trying to get out of the forest.
I want you to hang that garland on the lodge.
But I don't want to go in.
You don't have to go anywhere.
On the way to Ujits. Back then, we used to meet by the great big beech tree, right next to the wayside shrine. There's a...
And what time will he be waiting there for you?
At dawn. What are you going...
Never you mind. The main thing is it will all...
I suppose so.
That'll be everything.
Goodbye.
Jesus! It's came from over here.
I hope I can be of some humble service to you.
I'm here to find out about the poachers gang, and I need to ask a few questions.
Well, ask away. I don't have all day.
I heard you were yelling in the tavern that you were off to hunt some venison.
Look here. I don't know who you are, but...
I will, don't you worry.
What? Nothing. It was just...
Maybe not. Blacksmith Betty saw people feasting in the woods, and she says there was a night...
Nothing.
And I don't suppose...
No.
I heard you were...
Look...
I will.
What?
Maybe not. That remains to be seen. That'll do. I hear there's been...
I don't have time to...
May the Lord watch over you.
I hear there's...
I don't have time...
God be with you. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm guessing Nicholas won't be joining us. Who the devil are you?
I thought you wanted...
Fortunately, I'm not that much of a fool anymore. I was hoping I'd tempt Nicholas out of his lair. But let's...
My name is Henry, and I work for the Master Huntsman.
So are you going to arrest me?
I am.
All I ask is that you listen to me first.
Why should I listen to you?
Because if you care about justice, you're after the wrong man.
Anyone can say that.
And that's precisely why the accused should get a proper hearing.
Let me guess. You're going to tell me you're innocent?
I wouldn't presume. I've been poaching on the Divish estate, and I'll take the punishment I deserve. But the crime I was nearly strung up for, that one I didn't commit.
I've no idea what you're talking about.
Let me introduce myself. My name is Hanakin Hare of Zalush.
The nobleman?
I used to be. My house became sadly impoverished.
Gamekeeper turned poacher?
Nicholas gave me no...
What happened to your...
My father lost his influence. There was nothing for it but to sell off all our possessions.
That sounds a...
Believe it or not, I never cared for the life of...
What happened?
I was falsely accused of murder. Henry of...
And didn't they have any cause to suspect you?
That's just...
Why did you get into a fight with him?
The fall of the House of Zalush was the work of the Lord...
I know Sir Hanush of Lipa. Was Sir Henry his father?
Indeed. He was on his way to Ratai to take charge of the fiefdom for young Sir Hans Capon.
And then what?
Nicholas began to pull strings. Several people came forward as witnesses to say...
Why would he have done...
He wanted rid of me. We were both... But back then, there was no question which of the two of us would win her. I was the huntsman of...
Do you know who did...
No. He was...
And that never occurred?
It did.
What?
She took me for a fool.
How?
She could have told the truth. After the banquet, I was with her. But when they...
How did you...
What leads you to...
Your head's still on your shoulders, so you...
I'm alive. But my... Well...
An interest...
I can't complain of boredom.
Even if I believed you, there's no proof.
I know. But if I didn't believe in my own...
Why?
If I truly were guilty, why would I risk coming back to...
Nicholas took everything you had.
I'm not like him.
Nah, words are cheap.
Then I'm afraid you don't get...
Yeah. Christ.
Rossz helyen vagy. Az Istenét! Au! Itt fogsz nekem pityeregni? Picsába veled! Jól van, állj le! Au! Mi a szar volt? Mit csinálsz ott? Beszarás, és pont amikor kedvem lenne valakiből kiverni a lelkem. Riadó! A szentség itt! Látjátok? Ellenség!
Hey, ki van? Yeah.